What, you don't believe me? Is that the reason you clicked on this video?
Hell yeah.
Well then, welcome to Sparks Opus. Let me include a timeline, because it makes things significantly less convoluted, right? Now, we could get the very boring approach and say, well, spoilers I guess, Mario multiverse, Fire Emblem multiverse, Xenoblade multiverse, Zelda, multiple timelines, so yeah, also multiverse. Same thing with Star Fox, same thing with the Mother series, same thing with the Pikmin series, and wait, the Metroid series, which is actually allegedly happening in one single universe. I guess we have found the sacred timeline. We could say the simple answer is the multiverse and end it right there, but that would be boring. So here's my question regarding the sacred timeline. Which games happen in the NGU, Nintendo Game Universe, on the main timeline, and how do they connect? You may be surprised to find out that Smash Bros. Was actually always lore accurate and easily explainable. Let us begin. The Mario universe, aka the Mushroom Kingdom, lives on planet Earth. As you can see from the map from the critically acclaimed and most beloved game called Mario is Missing, and also multiple other occasions that show planet Earth. I mean, let's be real, Mario traveled to the moon, so that checks out. Let us say that the events of the Super Mario Bros. Are happening right about there. Pretty much the middle of our timeline. In the year 2000 and, well, let's say 25, sure. The Mushroom Kingdom is placed on the continent of North America, which is the Mushroom World. That's what the continent is actually called, with South America housing the jungle where you see the DK crew messing around in the Amazona jungle. North America also has Pauline, being the mayor of New Donk City, their version of New York City. Daisy with Sarasaland leading a bigger piece of land, including places in Africa like Egypt and also parts of Asia like India. That's a big piece. The Mushroom Kingdom has an alliance with the Kingdom of Hyrule, as you can see in Ocarina of Time. There are multiple occasions where you see Yoshis running around there, or piranha plants that have been brought over from the Mushroom Kingdom, at times also having green pipes installed, which is probably thanks to Mario, who by the way also knew the Happy Mask salesman personally, as he created a mask in his image and carries it around as a memento. Same thing with Pikachu, but no need to rush things here. Hyrule is therefore Europe. As a German, I want to place the castle in Germany, because we already have the Temple of Time placed in Cologne, as you can see here. Spain and Portugal being the hot Gerudo Desert makes perfect sense, considering
You must.
around Greece being Zora's domain, the Netherlands and Belgium is Rito village, and our Polish neighbors are Gorons, I suppose. The Kingdom of Hyrule has been existing how many thousands of years now? And will probably stay there for many more generations. Those games happen over a long time, man. You obviously also have the outlier, like the multiple villages from Animal Crossing. With outliers, I mean Japan. You have multiple idyllic places away from everywhere else, just living in peace by yourselves. With a struggling economic situation, thanks to Tom Nook. Rosalina is chilling in space on her own spaceship. And you know who else does? Samus Aran. She kinda has to, at this moment in time, because Metroids are chilling in South America, sucking the life out of the wildlife there. She actually was attacked once by Metroid invading Earth and crash landed not too far away from DK's position in South America. And as mentioned before, DK's crew is actually part of the Mushroom World continent too. DK's home is on DK Island, part of the DK Isles, an archipelago of lots of islands, which is located in the Caribbean Sea, where you also have the Pirates of the Caribbean, known as the Kremlin Crew, with King K. Rool as their leader. The planet seemingly having a godlike entity in its center called the Benendium root, meaning that perhaps the planet has a will of its own? This may become relevant later on. Since we are still kinda in the middle of our timeline, we also have tournaments like Mario Kart, which eventually became too boring for people and has changed in the F-Zero GP Legend anime, a separate universe where the first F-Zero races began after humanity's first contact with aliens in 2101. The original F-Zero happened in the year 2560. Where humanity's encounters with alien life has led to a new era of interplanetary trade and cultural exchange. To entertain their opulent lifestyles, a group of wealthy space merchants created the F-Zero Grand Prix, a high-stakes race significantly more exciting than Mario Kart. Granted, Mario is probably dead, but it still could have lived on, you know, continued in honor of his legacy, or something like that. Initially, the public was shocked by the brutal nature of the competition, with its dangerous obstacles and traps along the raceways. However, over time they grew accustomed to all of it, you know, and began to crave even more of such dangers in the races. Winning the F-Zero Grand Prix became the greatest honor in the universe. But going back a bit, we also have Mario Party, Excitebike, Mario Strikers, Mario Golf, tennis, baseball. They love to do them from time to time, inviting everyone from the Mushroom Kingdom, doing those massive global tournaments for Mario Kart, where they're also inviting people from Europe, aka Hyrule, Japan, aka Animal Crossing, Inkling. Okay, listen, humans went extinct during a nuclear war, but that happened in a distant past. For the Splatoon series, I mean. The Splatoon series happens in the year 12 or 13,000, which is quite far away in the future. Their species has actually already existed, even before these events. There could be the possibility that after the extinction of the human race, the evolution continued and Inklings and Octolings have evolved over a long time back into the regular human being. Just like apes and humans still coexist nowadays. So here we have Inklings still and the regular humans together on one planet, just like in the old days. There's also things like Wii Sports, Tomodachi Life, Nintendogs, Famicom Detective Club, Endless Ocean, Pilot Wings, Rhythm Heaven, Wave Race, and Punch Out. They are all just glimpses into the everyday life of the citizens of our beautiful planet Earth. With some exceptions, like Chibi Robo, the first and second Smash Bros specifically, and whatever else there might be. Someone having a beautiful dream and sharing that dream with us. That someone being Master Hand, who wanted to make his dreams come true and decided to traverse through the multiverse to collect fighters that he specifically wants in his tournament, or doesn't want. But I'm definitely jumping the gun here. Although, talking about the multiverse, if you want to ask about games like Paper Mario or other side games of main IP, it's in the multiverse. They aren't part of the sacred timeline. Moving on. So this is the present day. The Fire Emblem games have happened in the distant past, fighting each other over land and power with sword, shield, and good old magic. Dragons from that time still live in the current age, like Bowser, or the dragons from Mario Wonder, or the dragons in Hyrule, which are free roaming across the globe. Magic also exists in the current age, although mostly forgotten. Some still have these abilities and teach them to the new generations. Mario, as an example, learned El-Fire, and Luigi learned El-Thunder. And Zelda and Raru learned an enhanced and light-based version of Thoron. Although, some Fire Emblem games seem to take place in a parallel universe according to Engage. So, which one is part of the main timeline? Probably the one with Marth included. The first game. And every game or character that does acknowledge the existence of him in the past, like the characters from Awakening. Way further in the past, almost at the beginning of everything, maybe even before the goddess Hylia existed, there is the place where the 3 golden goddesses resided in. There we also have the conflict between Pit, Medusa, and Hades, who emerged from the underworld like the Demon King Demise later on also did. That's where the Kid Icarus series is taking place, the Angel Land, which was later dubbed Hylia's Realm. Don't think I have to explain my reasoning behind that. It does, after all, make perfect sense. Now, what about Pokemon? You have Paris with Legend ZA and Great Britain with Sword and Shield, but it doesn't fit anywhere into our sacred timeline. Here is the thing. Arceus was part of the original timeline and a friend of, but eventually decided to create his own universe. One parallel to the original main timeline, creating deities that control and guard the flow of space and time, where all Pokemon games do happen eventually. Although it kinda makes sense that Pokemon games don't have a place in the sacred Nintendo timeline. A funny little accident happened a bit further, in the year 20XX. We don't have a precise date here, but let us say year 2080. Welcome to the events of Xenoblade Chronicles. It takes humanity around 2000 years to finally fix the issue of splitting the universe into 2 back into one single universe in the year of 4000 or something. It was almost like never anything happened. Well, to the planet at least, or the universe. That experiment, or more precisely the war that led to this mistake, is the reason all of humanity was wiped out and the SPLATOON series eventually started. Although there is still Xenoblade Cross, where the spaceship named White Whale left planet Earth to escape from a war between alien forces. And after having traveled for who knows how long, they found a planet called Mira. An Earth-like planet which dragged the ship onto the planet by a mysterious force and made them crash land. Where playing through the game, they learned that there is something about the planet itself. Sounds kind of familiar to another IP I'd like to tackle in just a moment, and another one I just talked about. Now, this game happens in a parallel universe, which can't be said about the numbered games. But you might be wondering, okay, so everything makes perfect sense, except F-Zero and Xenoblade Chronicles. Doesn't that mean if both happened on the sacred Nintendo timeline, they would overlap and those races could have never happened? Exactly. There is something I left out. You really think F-Zero is part of the sacred Nintendo timeline? Well, when was the last time we had a new original F-Zero game? Exactly. It actually doesn't even line up. Where in the main timeline humans have built a space elevator. The space elevator in F-Zero GX was never finished, and they repurposed the half-finished space elevator to another racetrack. So let us remove F-Zero from the sacred timeline, as it should be. I might also add that we had the events of Sin and Punishment, which was in our timeline in the year 2007 in Japan, which was a prequel of sorts to Astral Chain, which happened shortly before the events of Xenoblade Chronicles. When it comes to Sin and Punishment, the planet was struggling with a worldwide famine, and the genetically engineered food that was supposed to help was corrupting humans. Eventually, the main characters became a strong fusion of good and evil, something that Akira also did in Astral Chain, making, by the way, use of a sort of beta core crystal that they tried to recreate from the core crystals of the Chimeras that allowed them to have their own blades. A project which Klaus from the Xenoblade Chronicles series was also a part of. The whole idea of turning those evil beings into your companions, chained to you and fighting for you with sword, hands, axes, and heck even beasts. That's how we came up with the idea in the first place. I guess as an architect he did have those capabilities. The actual sequel to Sin and Punishment takes place many years after the original game and expands the scope of the story to a cosmic scale. We received the concept of multiple Earths cultivated by powerful beings called the Creators, from a place called the Inner Space, who use humans as soldiers in a war against beings from quote-unquote outer space. When a civilization becomes too peaceful or advanced, the Creators destroy it and start anew. It's exactly the same concept of how the ghosts from Xenoblade Cross operate, although in this case they call it the will of the universe, or the universe's corrective system, perhaps emerging from the same place in space. But it seems we have multiple Earth-like planets in this universe. Perhaps F-Zero and every other IP, with the only exception of Pokemon, actually is present in the sacred Nintendo timeline, which means we can continue. Pikmin and Kirby happen at roughly the same time in the distant future where humans have vanished from the surface once again, for reasons. We do see humans in the Kirby universe, although they are rather small. In both cases it seems to have happened very recently. There were moments in the Kirby series where he had to return multiple times to planet Earth. Some time had passed between those moments, although is that the same planet Earth? We have the Shiva star, which seems like a kinda Earth-like planet that has cooled down and is now a dead and cold planet. Then there is the Earth from the Forgotten Land, where it seems to have happened way more recently that humans had left this place. A theory could be that Shiva star is actually the original Earth, and a race we see in today's age called the Ancients are actually humans that have evolved from the humans of the past. If you think the floating hands don't make sense, please keep in mind that Mies are also lore accurate and existed on the Mushroom World continent. They perhaps moved to the Forgotten Land and continued to live there, until they were also forced to leave this place onto another Earth. Kirby is not really immortal, but time is probably irrelevant to him. He outlives most of his enemies and friends. When those events happened is unknown. All that we know is that it happened in the distant future. What we have once again confirmed though is the existence of multiple Earths. Ancient humans being a concept that also exists within the Xenoblade series, actually having arrived from another plane of existence. The Pikmin series is built like the From Software games, where most of the lore is hidden behind text and descriptions. The Pikmin series calls Earth PNF 404. Pikmin 3's map is Pangaea Ultima, which is an estimation of how Earth will look like in 300 million years in the future, meaning that this is the case for Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. Humans have died out a long time ago. Maybe because of a nuclear war happening? Considering the Geiger counter in Pikmin 1 is indicating that there is quite a bit of radiation present in the atmosphere. The air has also become poisonous. But isn't it strange that every time they approach that planet, they crash land for some unknown reasons? There is something about this planet. Planet Earth has a will of its own. Is the Banandium root still present? Is some other deity messing around there? One thing is for certain. Humans haven't really died out. They have evolved, as Olimar is noticing the similarities to him and the ancient human, them perhaps having evolved over time to become smaller and smaller, which would also explain Adeline from the Kirby series, who seems quite tiny for a human, where they seem even more tiny in the Pikmin series. Just a work of evolution. Pikmin 4 happens in an alternate timeline. So does Pikmin Bloom, but man, come on man, who cares about Pikmin Bloom? In 4 we see clean housings and recent day-to-day things. It looks like the present day. We are also in a house after all. Reading through some of the lore, it seems that Pikmin and humans used to coexist in the past. But something has happened to them, the humans, that they eventually vanished. And there exists theories that suggest that Pikmins aren't actually all that nice and cute, and them actually being part of a bigger cycle, together with the will of the planet, whatever that might include. We may or may not find out in the future. Golden Sun is in a parallel universe because the world is actually flat. Star Fox is actually being placed before the events of Xenoblade Chronicles and after the events of Astral Chain, although in another solar system called Lilat System, a few astronomical units away from the place of our actual original sacred Nintendo Earth. The Mother series takes place in the 90s in the United States of America. It also has time travel and evil entities from the distant future. Also, having learned some of the magic from the distant past, the Fire Emblem days. And we have Super Smash Bros., where, as mentioned before, Master Hand, as the game says, the manifestation of creation exists, who also has a left hand. Crazy Hand, the Hand of Destruction. Do these hands belong to someone? A me-god? One of the ancients from the Kirby series that found enlightenment and ascended to a higher reality? Is it one of the creator from Sin and Punishment? Someone from the ancient times? One of the ancient gods, like the 3 golden goddesses and Palutena? Master Hand is the creator of the Super Smash Bros. Tournament, seemingly being a multiversal being. His trophy information in Brawl implies that he holds back his full power and merely toys with the fighters for his own enjoyment. This is further supported in Smash Ultimate and the World of Light mode, where his playable form is actually much stronger than his boss version, boasting higher stamina and more powerful attacks. He also had some influence in the Subspace Emissary, where he was controlling the events a bit by giving commands to the bad guys. Although, it was later revealed that it was actually Taboo who manipulated him. Maybe it's all a simulation of his, where he brought together personalities from across the multiverse to make them battle for his own entertainment, outside of the original and sacred timeline, and also without his intrusion. At least, that's what normally would happen. It looks like Taboo wanted Master Hand to collect more of those fighters. We also see on a power scale that Taboo is significantly stronger than Master Hand. What's a bit strange though, is that after beating Master Hand, we never see him afterwards again. Was it just for entertainment? Did he want some drama in his simulation? Did he regret manipulating the villains for evil and use this as a way to create an unusual bond between the heroes and villains? We might never find out. And if you think that there are multiple Master Hands as shown in Ultimate, Gleam only made thousands of copies of the original Master Hand, just like later on with every other fighter. One thing is for certain, and confirmed by the games. He is the creator of the Super Smash Bros. Tournament. He is the personification of creation in that series. God? Who knows? But one last question. Taboo. He is the reason for those black holes that get created through those subspace bombs. We also see them in Xenoblade Cross Definitive Edition, transporting matter to another dimension, to his dimension. But what is his dimension? Is it part of what once was called Hylia's realm? Is it the place where all the gods resides? Or perhaps in the other direction? Is that the underworld? Is he the devil or a demon? Even though you defeat him, all that happens is that those black holes disappear. We never see him die or anything close to that. He is probably still stuck in that subspace. Or hell. They added multiple endings, and with that, multiple timelines. So yeah, I'm kinda done with this video. The Sacred Nintendo Game Timeline, the NGU, aka Nintendo Gaming Universe. I hope you liked this video. All those mental gymnastics made my head hurt a bit. Thank you for watching. Consider to sub and like and type and write a comment on your favorite mental gymnastics. Wish you all the best and good luck and a good day. Goodbye.